And welcome again to Cooking with Generoso. I am Generoso. Behind the camera is Lily.
Hello.
Hello. And so what we're going to do tonight is a very, very easy dish. In fact, we just got back from work and we have no desire to work for another 2.5, 3 hours to make something. So we're going to do veal marsala. Obviously, you can do chicken marsala. This is a very, very easy to make dish. Something you can whip out right for dinner for working folks and should be very simple. What are you going to need? Fundamentally, you're going to need some olive oil, a little bit of all-purpose flour, some white button mushrooms, a yellow onion. We have about a pound of veal here that we're going to pound out in a little bit. Salt and pepper, a very good knife for trimming the veal and chopping your onions and mushrooms, a tenderizing hammer, and this is the big one here, marsala. So I want to make this perfectly clear. You do not need to spend $16 or $20 on marsala to make chicken or veal marsala. This is a very, very basic marsala. It cost me a whopping $6, and that's in Boston where everything is crazy expensive. But this is going to do it perfectly. So that's all you need. We're going to do a little bit of prep work, and we'll be back in a second. Okay, so Lily has helped me do a little bit of prep work. We're going to see here is that we took our tenderizing hammer. For about 5 minutes, we pounded out the veal, and we trimmed off a little bit of the excess fat, which is good. We minced our onions, nice even pieces. We've cut our white bell mushrooms in chips, and then we've cut those in half. And now what we're going to do next is we're going to get the pan ready. So you're going to put a liberal amount of olive oil, because we're going to be doing some frying, and turn the heat up medium. For those of you who are curious on what medium looks like, it should be about yay. Make sure the pan gets nice and hot, and then we're going to dump in our onions and mushrooms. Now this is again something that a lot of people do. It's a little bit different than the way my family does it, but the onions and the mushrooms, we're going to lightly brown them, and then we're going to take them off the flame, off of the pan I should say, put them on the side before we cook our veal. We want that flavor of the onions and the mushrooms to really get inside the meat, but we don't want to overcook them, so we're only going to let them lightly brown, and then we're going to go ahead and put in the veal. And now the oil's been warming up for about the last 3 minutes. As I said, there's a good amount of olive oil in there. We're now going to add our onions and our mushrooms. Now what we want to do here is lightly fry them. We want to get them a little bit colored. Again, we don't want them to overcook, and that's why we're eventually going to take them off the oil. So in about another couple minutes, you will see what they look like before we take them off the frying pan. In 5 minutes, over a medium flame. As you can see, the onions and the mushrooms are getting a nice brownish color, but they're not too brown. We're now going to take them off the frying pan and put them separately onto this plate. You're going to leave a couple in there by accident. I am not that meticulous. You want to leave as much of the oil in the pan as possible. There's a reason we do this first, is that we want the oil to be flavored with the mushrooms and the onions. But again, we don't want the onions and the mushrooms to stay in the pan, because that's going to cause them to burn, and that's going to make your marsala taste poopy. Do we like poopy, Lily?
No.
I know. Poopy marsala is very sad.
And did you put salt and pepper in any of the mushrooms and the onions?
Not at this juncture, Lily. We're gonna wait till we actually go past putting in the marsala wine to the veal. Alright, get a couple more. Great, now you got all this beautiful oil. At this juncture, put on the spoon cozy there, we're going to add a little bit more oil to this. Let it heat up and mix with the onion and mushroomed oil. And now let's come over here. We're going to get our veal. It's been nicely pounded out. We're going to flour it on both sides. And we're going to add this directly to that hot oil in a moment. So now we've put a copious amount of flour on our veal fillets, and we're going to add them directly to this hot, oily pan. Now the goal here is we want to brown both sides. Before we add the Marsala wine. So now the goal is that we're going to brown both sides of this veal, and then we're going to add the Marsala wine to it in just a moment. So as you can see, the veal is nicely been browned. And we're going to add our Marsala wine now. Do not be stingy with the Marsala wine. It is very inexpensive. Go nuts. You're going to cook a lot of it off. And you're going to want that to simmer in its wine for a little while. For about 5 or 10 minutes. Let it cook down for a little bit, get the flavor of it. As the wine starts to cook down, we're going to reintroduce the mushrooms and the onions. At this juncture too, we're going to put in some salt and pepper, which will make everything a little happier. So now the veal's been cooking only for about 3 minutes. I've added maybe 2 more tablespoons of flour to create a roux with the Marsala, and I've added probably about another half a cup of Marsala wine to the mixture. What we're going to do now is add a little tiny bit more flour. Give a little bit more of the Marsala wine. And some more salt and pepper.
You want to make sure that all the clumps are out, right?
Absolutely. We are going to be blending this for a bit. So this has been cooking for another couple minutes. We're now going to reintroduce, the mushrooms and the onions to our mix, because they are as much fun as the veal itself. And I am not a rummy, but I will add a little more Marsala.
Yay!
Marsala good. Now we're going to take the flame down to low. We want this to have a nice simmer. And we're going to let this go for about another 3 or 4 minutes, and you'll see the final product. So 3 minutes later, as you can see, there's a nice thickness to the roux. Most of the wine is cooked off. And you have these beautiful little cutlets, and we're just going to plate it. Now, I know Lily likes this on a bed of pasta, don't you, Lily?
I do.
But you can do whatever you like. In my family's house, we used to serve this with potatoes, with greens, you know, in the traditional sense of what Italian food is. This is really a secondi. And there you have it, Veal Marsala.